stocked up on coffee and it's ready for the next presentation. It's going to be about Drupal commerce. Thank you.
No problem.
We're going to have the next session about Drupal commerce. It's an e-commerce framework for Drupal 7. It was specially created when Drupal 7 was released, and it has been gaining a lot of momentum. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jacob, and I've been doing Drupal development for about 4 years. I've been one of the early adopters of Drupal commerce. I believe I was the first one to actually create a live site for Drupal commerce when it was still in alpha. I had a funny project where we were able to experiment a bit. And even though commerce was in alpha back then, it was a real bliss to work with compared to Ubercard in Drupal 6. And so I'm the maintainer of the commerce shipping, which is a module that helps you enables calculating shipping on commerce sites. And I've made a bunch of commerce sites since then, so I hope I know a bit about the subject. So today I'm going to talk a bit about the core concepts of Drupal commerce to get a feeling about what is commerce like and what was in the minds of developers when they made Drupal commerce. You know, how do Drupal commerce think, and with that in mind, it will help you to figure out if you need to make a site with Drupal commerce, what is the best approach, how can you use the different modules. I'm going to take a look at some of the key features, and in the end I'm going to demonstrate Commerce Kickstart 2, which is an installation profile for Drupal commerce that can help you speed up the development and can get you started. Ryan Sarama presented it for DrupalCon in Munich, and since then it has matured and become pretty stable. So it's a possibility to use that when you want to create a Drupal site with commerce. So a bit about the core concepts of Drupal commerce. Commerce itself comes with a bunch of entities. It was made for Drupal 7, so in the core structure and how it was made, it's tightly integrated to the entity system that was new for Drupal 7. And it's a real strength that it is freshly made, because compared to some of the other commerce solutions for Drupal that has been upgraded and has a lot of legacy code and a lot of concepts that has changed, Drupal commerce is made for how Drupal 7 thinks and works, and it makes it a lot easier to work with because there's not a lot of funny ways of explaining things and using those as products and stuff like that. So I've made an image of the relationship between the different entities. Basically, there is the order that is the main wrapper of the data that you need for customers when they buy stuff, and you have some line items to help store data for the relationship between when you buy something, because you need to know how many stuff you bought and that kind of things. You have the product and some customer profiles to enable data for the user, and finally the payment transaction. And this is all part of Commerce Core that you get when you download Commerce. So, like I said before, the order is the main thing that you need to understand when you have Commerce. It's used both as the shopping cart, but also when somebody complete an order and you're in the back end, you need to figure out what did the customer buy. Is the payment okay? That kind of thing. You can use status to figure out, did I send the stuff yet? Do I need to package up something, and then I can update my commerce site to reflect that, so I know this order has been sent, or or something is out of stock, so need to come back in a day or two to be able to complete that order and send it out. And if you need to display something for the user also, mainly you want to grab a hold of whatever order that the user is working on. Maybe when he has something in the cart, and by views you can basically display mostly whatever you want. If you just want to display the order total or what is in the cart, that's possible. The line items is the link between the product that's in the cart or the order and some additional data. And doing this like an entity instead of just storing the data somehow makes it very flexible. The thing is that you can create fields for any of these entities, and for line items you can create something very powerful. When you add something to your cart, mostly you just have the add to cart and maybe how many items you want. You want 3 t-shirts or 5 t-shirts. But using fields on line items, you can create a more custom buying experience. Maybe you want to have an engravement on a watch. Well, you need to figure out what the text should be. Maybe you want to have some custom wrapping that the user can buy. Stuff like that that's related to that specific purchase. So you cannot store it on the product because that will be on every purchase. So you have to store it on that specific item that's in the cart. And using the line items, the entity, you are able to, via the UI, to define fields, and with a checkbox you can say this field should be displayed on the add to cart form, and you can make it required, so user would have to select a value, and it creates a very powerful and flexible buying experience because you don't have to know a lot about code to be able to do all of these things. The UI that you know about fields in Drupal 7 enables this for you. Lastly, you have the products. That is an entity by itself. So it means that when you create a product, you don't create a node, not to begin with, but you have a UI for creating the products, and you can create the different variants of products. One thing that you have to take note of is that each variant somehow, if you have t-shirts, you will maybe have a lot of t-shirts that's similar, but the difference is maybe size or color or something like that, or model. Then each combination would have to be a unique product, because in the end you would have to know which item in the stock you have to pick up. You need to have what's called a SKU, the unique ID for the product, so that that you know exactly the users bought a t-shirt size medium. Yes?
Why couldn't you use the line item for selecting which size you want?
You can use the line item, but what you would like when you buy something is to know exactly what was bought. When you have a t-shirt size medium or t-shirt size large, those are two different things. They have a lot of similarities, but basically they're two completely different products. And you may have hundreds size medium, but no size large. So if you needed to have some stock management and stuff like that, you would need to know that these two products are different and which one has the user bought. And maybe you can tell them, well, size large is out of stock right now. In a week you can come back, or you can take the size medium or size X large. That is why you want to have the different variants. But you can attach like you could say that you could decide which print, or you could write what print you wanted on a t-shirt. Basically, you have still the same t-shirt on stock, but you do some extra handling with the t-shirt in order to prepare it for the customer. And in those cases, it would make more sense to have it on a line item, because otherwise you would have to rate all the possibilities, like a t-shirt with the print "Hey" and the t-shirt prints "Go Drupal" and stuff like that. And that would be plain stupidity, because there's endless of possibilities. In those cases, it makes much more sense to store that data on a line item.
SKU is just a specific term used in commerce. It's not just a random term used here. It's a very specific stock, something unit number.
Yeah.
And it's the one you go and pick up something from the warehouse. It's the one thing you pick up, and you always pick up the right thing if you have a SKU number. So it's not a Drupal term. It's not a data term. It's a commerce term.
Yeah, and like product IDs, sometimes when you buy something, you have some very long number, like a serial number, that is reference to a specific item. And if you have like a physical store, you have like lots of different products, you will have a catalog. You know which products you have, and that's where you use the SKU for. One thing that is very tricky with Drupal commerce that a lot of people are thrown off by is that when you create a product, you don't immediately get them to show up anywhere. I had a site I was working on for a few months ago, and I got a mail like, I have all these products we created, but where are they? We cannot see them anywhere. Some of them are visible, but some of them are not. What's going on? And the thing is that when you create a product, you don't create the exposure to the customer. In itself, a product is merely a container of data that explains so you can define what's the title. Maybe there's an image for the product, stuff like that. But it doesn't get shown anywhere because you have created it. You need to create a front-end exposure of the product. And usually the way you do that is that you create a node. In commerce, the Drupal commerce, usually call it a product display. And you can call it anything you want, but if you hear about Drupal commerce guys talking about product displays, what they're talking about is a node that has a reference to one or more products. And what Drupal commerce also has created is a special field that can reference products. And one of the powers of fields is that you can define how you want to display the data for the field. So when you have a product reference field, one of the possibilities is that you can display what's called an add to cart form. So when you have a product display node and you add a field, a product reference field, and you tell that when the node is viewed, you want to display the add to cart form, you get basically what you want, because commerce guys have spent a lot of time enabling you to define what should happen when a product is displayed in the add to cart form. A lot of things happens, and it creates a powerful experience for a site administrator to define what should happen. First of all of the data, all of the fields that you have on the product, like the product image, size, color, stuff like that, it's added to the node field list when you look on the display tab. So when you can define the different displays of the fields, like the body field or any other fields that you have on the node, you're also able to define different attributes for the product should they be shown, and in which order should they be shown. So when you have a product display node, you get a mix of node data that could be related to like some teaser into like, go, this is a great product, go buy something, ads, images like that to create a custom buying experience. But you also get all of the product data, and maybe some of the data is for internal use. Like maybe you have some code that you need to know for when you process the order, and you don't want that code to show up. Well, then you can just disable the display of those fields, and some of the fields is for the customer, so we can get a feel of what I'm buying, how does it look like, and stuff like that. And those are displayed on the node, and you can also customize how should they be displayed. The real power comes when you have a lot of products that has similarities. One example could be you have T-shirts that has different variants, like size and color. In that case, commerce looks at all the products and finds out how do they match up. Do I have similarities that is that's clever, or is just completely different products? And if you have these similarities, like you have a list of different sizes or colors and stuff like that, it will enable the user to instead of displaying the color and the size as a standalone field, it will enable the user to display it as a drop down or checkbox, stuff like that, and then the user can select which size do I want, which color do I want, based on the different products that's referenced on the node. And doing that, it's very easy to create a very custom buying experience for the customer. I've taken an example of how to create an order with code. I mean, it's pretty easy to do all of this stuff in the UI but sometimes you need to do it in code, and I want to show that it's actually pretty easy with the different APIs that Commerce provide. Basically, this is an example to if maybe something happened and you want to create an order and say, hey, the customer has bought this, and just send it along. Then you can do it with code as well if you don't want to have the typical commerce experience where you go through a checkout flow and you enter a lot of data. And basically what you have an API function to create an order, and then you can create a line item that has some data on it, either a product. And in this case, I just set the price, so it doesn't even have a product, and then you can save the line item and attach it to the order, and it's about 20 lines of code to do this, and it shows that Commerce has a lot of clever APIs that make it pretty easy to use stuff when you need to do it in code. And if you don't need to do it in code, you can use just standard UIs. One thing that you may want to use is different line item types. The only lag right now in Drupal Commerce out of the box is that you cannot create different types of line items. So when you define fields, like maybe you want an engraving, maybe not all of your products can be engraved. Maybe you have a jewel shop and watches can be engraved, but rings are too small, or maybe you have earrings, stuff like that, that cannot be engraved. In that case, you need to figure out which, you need to have different line items. One type that has the engraving option and gets displayed, and one that doesn't have it, and then you can, when you create when you manage the fields, you can decide which one to use. But out of the box, you cannot define a line item type. So you only have a single one. There is a contrib module that helps you do it, or you can do it in code. When I work on projects, I like to define line items in code if I need it, because then I know they exist, and you can, in features, you can add fields on it, so you know that they exist, and all of the settings, and you can put it into code. And there's a few tricks when you create a line item. It's pretty simple. There's a hook for it, but there is one thing that you especially need to be aware of, and that is that there is a magic product here that you need to set to true if you want to use that line item for products. There's a lot of magic going on because when you buy products, there's so much custom handling that needs to be handled. But sometimes you may have some other stuff that you need to attach to the order, like shipping details, coupons, stuff like that. And usually what modules will do is also to create line items and attach them to the order to know that they exist. And like in the case of shipping, you can add the shipping cost to the line item, and Commerce will automatically figure out that it exists and add the price to the total. Stuff like that is very handy. But like the special handling with expose fields to the add to cart from all of those features, they only enable if you set the product value to true. And there's also a lot of other handling that is special for products. One of them is taxes, because usually you have taxes on products that you sell, and there's a lot of complicated stuff going on if you need to enable tax calculation and stuff like that. And basically, if you forget to set product to true, none of these things will work, and it won't show up, and you're like, what's going on? Why is it not working? And that's all you need to do, and you need to remember that. Okay. Some of the core features, I've been talking a little bit about some of them. I've listed them up here. I think the price system is very brilliant. There is still some lags when you do multi-currency sites and multilingual sites, because it can be pretty tricky to handle like different currencies, and what happens if you have an order with both like US dollars and British pounds, and how do you get stuff to add up and stuff like that. The system that they have made is very good for a lot of cases, but in some complex cases it can be a bit difficult. I think that the way Commerce handles taxes is very clever. It's the best I've seen yet. Basically what they do is they use rules. I'll come into it a bit later. Another feature of Commerce is that they have spent a lot of time integrating into views, and with views coming into core in Drupal 8, that's definitely a big plus, because views is something that most sites use anyways, and there's so much power in views, and rules module is also gaining a lot of momentum. I'll come into it a bit later in details what you can use rules for, but they have been spending a lot of time integrating with these modules that other people use, and makes it a lot easier to customize and the experience for the customer, and enables admins to do a lot of stuff without actually knowing how to do PHP or push code to a server, stuff like that. So the price system is mainly defined in a price field. A lot of the thing happens in that, and it's very clever because it centralizes a lot of how stuff is handled, because when you know about the price field, you can basically, if you hook it into it, whatever you do of extensions and different ways of displaying the price, it will be enabled no matter how the price field is used. If it's used for the order total, if it's used for the product price, if it's used in the line item, and also because it's a field, you can enable prices to be defined in other places very easily, because basically you can just create a field. If you want to have, for example, you have a user account and you want to store credits in an amount of money that maybe you can use those credits to buy stuff instead of having to go through the card every time. That could be a case. Then you can have a price field on the user that he cannot edit, but he can view it to see what's my status. Do I need to go and to maybe buy more credits that I can use for different things, and another thing is that it handles a lot of things in price alterations, because it stores not only the price but also a data array that then helps you to understand what happens to the price. Why isn't the price the way it is? Because a lot of things can happen to alter the price. Maybe there is a special discount. Maybe there is a special tax on a specific type of product. All of these alterations that can happen in the process is stored, so you can not only figure out what's going on, but you can also display, hey, you bought this item, but actually you have a 10% membership discount. Stuff like that. Stuff like that is built in, so it creates a lot of possibilities, not only in what can happen, what can be used, but also in how you can display prices. And even though there isn't in core a sensible currency converter, the APIs is there, so you can, if you define like how should pounds be converted to US dollars and stuff like that, it will be pretty easy if you want to define the rules. Commerce has built up the system to enable you to convert currencies. And so a lot of those APIs is ready for you, so you only need to hook into a few things if you want to do those kind of things. So a lot of those stuff is built in already. Taxes is based on rules, and that is extremely powerful, because rules enables you to customize a lot of things. If you don't know rules, rules is a module that basically is using three things. Something it calls events, something it calls conditions, and something it calls actions. An event is something that can happen on a site, like the user completed checkout. That could be an event, or the user put something into the cart, or the user logged in. It's possible that you can define events in code. Commerce has created a lot of events for what's going on in commerce, and one of them is when you need to apply a tax on a product, for example. Then you have conditions. Conditions is something that you can use to define should something happen or not when this event occurs. And lastly, you have the action is what should happen. For example, it could be that when taxes are applied, you can check what product is the tax being applied on. If it's a special product that have like some tax, or maybe there is some fee when you buy it, then you can use a system to hook into it to say, oh, when the product of this type also add this special environmental tax, and you can with commerce also define when you add like a tax, how should be added, what type of tax is it, so that when I go to checkout I can see, oh, I have the standard Danish bumps, but I also have this environmental fee that I have to pay, and maybe I can maybe for accountants it makes it different if it's taxes, because I can maybe subtract those, but environmental fees I have to pay them. Stuff like that can be very important, and using the price data you can tell that this is a normal tax and this is an environmental fee, and you can display to the customer. Views is something I believe everybody know, and that is also one of the powers that in using views and integrating views into WooCommerce. It's very easy once you get to a hang of views to alter stuff. Even when you develop a new site, you don't have to go code a lot of stuff, but you can just go into the interface, change the view settings, export the view as a feature, or you can export it into code however you like, and very easily you can define how should your cart look like. When you have the shopping cart block, how should that look like? When you're in the checkout flow, how should that look? Another thing that's also very powerful is that WooCommerce has spent a lot of time integrating some of the key forms, like the cart form, where you can alter how many products to have into views. So even though it's a form where you can use to update and change the order itself, you can also customize it with views and create you can make it look like how you want. I remember one of my big Ubercard projects I did before starting with WooCommerce. I needed to add a line that was basically, if you're logged in, you get a membership discount. I think it was like 5%, but if you're not logged in, you don't get a discount. And you won't believe the effort I needed to go through to add a single line that basically told the customer if you got a discount or not. I mean, I don't know if you work with Ubercard in Drupal 6, but it was like so much work with all kinds of APIs that you couldn't change, so you have to rebuild basically the entire markup yourself and use some fancy APIs to create the table in the right way. And I mean, maybe I spent 5 hours just to add a line to, like, the discount is 5% if you logged in, and otherwise log in here to get membership discount. I mean, it was crazy. And sometimes you forget how tiresome it can be to do some simple stuff like that. But with views, I mean, you can just snap a finger and it's done. It's very easy to add, custom theming, and Commerce has also created these what's called area handlers. It's something that I don't know if you know about them, but views has the main content, and it has a header and a footer area that's in the bottom and in the top of the main view. And in those places you can add what's called an area handler. And Commerce uses this to create the order total. So it sums up what's in the view itself. If it's based on the order, and makes some logic to make sure that there is an order and there's some line items. But stuff like that, it makes it easy to change. Like, you have the order total on the top if you wanted to. It's simple drag and drop. Rules are already talked about a bit. One thing also to mention is that the good thing about using rules is not only that you can do a lot of stuff using the UI only, but if you're a developer and you like to code, all of the events that is triggered is also triggered as a hook. So maybe rules is too difficult for some complex scenario, and you can just fix what you need to do with code instead. Well, then you have the hooks already there that you can hook into, and you can do the operations or whatever you need to do based on some complex logic. Finally, the community is a very big feature as well in commerce. I took the user statistics from Drupal Commerce yesterday. So these results are very fresh, and I highlighted when Drupal 7 was released and when Drupal Commerce was in the first release candidate. And you can tell that ever since Drupal Commerce was about ready to use, there's been a steady growth of sites using it. And in the start, you could say, oh, the community is starting up, people are starting to do custom modules for this and that. But we are at a point now where Drupal Commerce has a matured community with developers that has created a lot of concept modules that you can use on your new Drupal Commerce sites to do a lot of stuff that you otherwise would need to buy a developer or code yourself. Stuff like shipping, stock handling, coupons, address book, file products, a lot of things that's not in Drupal core, but maybe your site needs those. And there's a crazy lot of different payment modules that creates integration to different payment gateways. So most likely you will not need to do that yourself. There will be a model ready for you to use whatever payment provider you're going to use. At least you can be sure that you can find a module. And there's a lot of modules created to do a lot of other stuff like improving the administration. There's been a lot of different kinds of reporting. I know there was a Google Subbers project that ended out in a Drupal module that creates a very powerful way to show the site administrator what has been sold. Has a lot of graphs showing like what's sales this month and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of traction to the product. And when you need to create new sites, you get a head start because all of the groundwork has been made now. You can just install a lot of modules for most of your cases, and if they don't do exactly what they want, a lot of those modules has also been based on the way that commerce does things with rules and views. So you can extend and you can customize what you want a lot of the time very easily. At least that's my experience. That it's pretty easy to customize and change the default way that commerce work to make it do whatever you want. So I wanted to do a demo to show off Commerce Kickstart, which is the new installation profile. So let's find it. What you see here is basically what you get when you do a plain vanilla install of Drupal Commerce Kickstart. I did this install from the latest release. So this is basically what you get out of the box without any customizations or anything. What I did was also you have the possibility to add like dummy content. The kickstart is the Drupal commerce module itself. It's a lot of different contributed modules like shipping and stock handling, stuff like that. And it's also some other contrib modules and some modules that's a part of the kickstart that's mainly used to alter the UI. A main pain of Drupal commerce has been that it's very difficult for site editors to understand that you have something that's called an entity and you need to create a product, and then after you have created the product, then you have to create a node and you have to enter the SKU in the field and create the reference and stuff like that. And when you need to edit a product, you don't go to the product display, but you need to find the product in the administration. It's been a big pain for many site users to have those terms and to understand it, and when you develop a site, you have to use a lot of time explaining when you do create a product, like you go distance to this, and when you create a node, you go distance to this, and it's just, I mean, it's a lot of work, and Commerce has done a lot of stuff to help that. I can, if I go to manage products, they have a fancy product selector. Basically what you see here is actually product displays. It's nodes with products in them. So we can take the Commerce Guys photo example. So this is how the product is displayed on the front end. You have the SKU for the product. You see it's made well. I think it's a taxonomy term that they has added on products. So you have different categories. They have a color with a module to create these fancy attributes where you can create colors as a color. So you have different colors. This is a single color. You will see you have the size and you have the quantity and some different images. So, so to understand what's behind this is that because you have a single color and 3 sizes, you must have 3 different products that's being referenced here. And if I change the size, you can see that the SKU changes because you load up the new product, and this is handled by Ajax. But the price is the same. Now, if I edit the node, you can tell that a lot is similar. You have a title and a body field, but something that's very nice is that you have the product variants, and this is using what's called the entity inline edit module. And what Commerce Guys has done is it has created a way to view and edit the products within the product display node. Instead of having to do 2 different places, you have a single place to edit, and I believe it uses views to display how should the product look like, and if I choose to anyone, like you could say large should be more expensive because it's bigger and you need to use more cloth, you can decide, oh, maybe it should be 35 crowns instead. And you press. Now you can see that the product is 35 crowns. If I view the product again, the prices is without taxes. I have taxes on site, that's why the what you see here is a different price. So if I choose the size large, I wonder if there's some caching. I didn't actually test this, on the forehand. I know that maybe I didn't actually save it. Let's try again. I haven't actually used Commerce Kickstart myself. It wasn't mature enough for the
Save
products.
variation and then save the node, I think.
Yeah, maybe like that.
I think so.
Let's try. And it's pretty large. Yay! And you can see the price has been updated. So that's one way that you makes that where Kickstart helps you a lot. We can demonstrate how easy it is to customize the card. So maybe I don't want to display the image. I think it's too much noise. So basically, all of this, what you see here is a single view. I mean, the entire form at the bottoms and the display here is a view. So let's show how you can alter that. It's pretty simple. You see here.
I want to fix that with, it's pretty simple if you know how to use views.
If you know how to use views, it's very simple. Let's see. Example is the area header that I talked about is commerce order total. So this is the order total. Maybe I wanted to show it also in the header because you buy a lot of stuff, so you want to instantly see how much did I buy. So if I do that and remove to save, here we go. Okay, so the theming for this hasn't thought about that you could put something in the header so it looks a bit messed, but you can see that I have the order total above, and you need to make sure when you do stuff like that that whatever theme you use handles this. This theme that's being displayed here has been made by Commerce Guys, and it has been made to make sure that whatever normal things you do looks pretty. But if you do crazy stuff like this, it might break. But that's just an example of how easy it is to change the default behavior. Another thing that I could demonstrate is shipping. So if I go to shipping right now, I have the express shipping and the free shipping. And the reason I have this is because my order total is above 100. I have some rules set up that if the order total is above 99.99 crowns, then the free shipping is enabled, and if it's below, then you have a standard shipping. I can just show by going back and I'll go to the cart. If I take 3 items instead of 4 and update the cart and go to checkout, you can see that the free shipping has disappeared, but instead I have the standard shipping. So how do I customize this? Well, if I go to store settings and shipping, what I get here is a list of different kind of shippings these shippings is all based on the flat rate shipping module for the 2.x branch of the shipping module. And if I look at the free shipping, this is basically how the rules interface look like. There is a condition and an action. The action is that you should be able to select the shipping, and the condition is that let me see here. I believe it's if it's greater than 99.99. This is a small unit, so 9999 is the same as 99.99 crowns. So maybe I could say, well, I want it to be 80. So if it's greater than 80, you should be able to select it. And I can click save and close it. Well, now I have all three options because this is enabled if the order is above 80, and this is disabled when it's above 100. So now I'm in a range where both of them are enabled. So if I add one more again. Let's go back. Shipping. Now